all systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Shipping Nation YouTube station? We're back in the saddle, and I got a new face on these Friday shows with me, at least to start the season here until our old NBA season. I didn't even know NBA is still going on. I'm sure you're still in that same camp there, Gyiraszin. We don't mess with that late injury, sit at your computer like a nerd all night. But hey, shout out to our NBA team, Rio and Ham and Bellman and Tito and the rest of the crew over there. They're continuing to crush that. So. Little scheduling update. Typically, this MLB show does run at 4 p.m. Eastern time. However, until the end of NBA season, we got a couple weeks left. We are doing double duty. So the MLB show will be at 5 p.m. Eastern instead of 4 p.m. Eastern. That finishes up there. So I'll have Gyiraszin on with me instead of Ham. Well, Ham's finishing up NBA season. But, man, happy Friday, Gyiraszin. We had a hell of a night last night. Speaking of our guy, Rio, 100 sacks right off the rip. Gazingo. I mean, you talk about Alec Burleson, just freaking puts one over the wall, puts him up to the top, 100 sacks in there. And then, hey, not even that. Shout out to our member. Our member in the Discord. He pulled another 20 stacks down. I know Wombat shipped the nickel over there on FanDuel, on FanDuel, which, hey, people are like, oh, it's only $300. But when you have $7.50 invested into that contest, $300 goes a long way. That's a good ROI. Had tons of other winners. I mean, we were pretty spot on the show yesterday, hoping to keep that rolling. And shout out to my boys, baby, getting the job done. Hey, we don't got the big boppers. We don't got Ohtani. We don't got Judge. We don't got Vlad. We don't got this guy. But we got a lot of guys that are bad to the bone out there, man. They put the ball in play. They run. They feed off each other. It's pretty fun. It's pretty cool to see. And speaking of another young guy, your call right there, little Detroit Tiger homer. I mean, that kid came in, helped some of our members make a ton of money. Looking to build on that, man. I'll bring you in. Happy Friday, Gyiraszin. What's up, brother?
Man, it was a good day yesterday. A lot of fun. Baseball's back. Got the juices flowing. Was all excited, and then all of a sudden we get, realized Rio's in the running for the big whopper over there, 100K. Man, woo! First day out the gate, man. And it's always nice, too, to get a shout-out, when somebody wins, even if it's our own guy. Hey, guys, fucking way to nail it on the show. Makes you feel good. Maybe coming right out hot, right out the gate. But, hey, we're going to do it again today because, you know what? Nobody cares about yesterday except the tax man. So, other than that, we got a pretty decent slate. 7 games? We got the fucking Dodgers. So, I mean, nobody here is going to argue the fact the Dodgers are always pretty much going to be the best team on the damn slate for pretty much the most part because they're pretty much ridiculous. But either way, a lot of fun, man. Love it. It's just always good to catch the winners over there. But yeah, man, that boy McGonigal over there, just kind of paying attention. I get in the sports cards obviously and been buying his shit for a little while because that boy can rake, man. That boy can hit a baseball. He doesn't strike out much. He's seeing the ball. You can just tell by the way he's standing there. He's just flat. I mean, he's good. That dude's gonna hit the shit out of the ball. And I mean, he's 2,200 now. I can tell you, he's probably the Tigers' best hitter already. I'd have to say because we don't have too many contact hitters. So
no, he's special over there playing shortstop. I mean, he's what Max Clark wants to be, but Max Clark's got to put his he's got to put his ego to side. I mean, Max Clark has tons of potential. I watched him down here in the high A, right? Face the T-Rats right by my house here in the Fox Cities in Wisconsin. Obviously, T-Rats, high A affiliate of the Brewers, and obviously Clark being in the Tigers organization. I watched him last year, and I think it was him and Jesus Maid actually both playing. That was quite the sight to see. Obviously, two massive prospects in these organizations there. But yeah, McGonigal is definitely a certified stud. He's on the slate here again, 2,200 on FanDuel, 3,300 for a shortstop on DraftKings is just ridiculously priced. He's not going to get ownership again. And hey, I mean, we'll get to that when we talk about bats there. But as Gyiraszin cracks a nice little seltzer over there, or the little
lucky one, a little lucky. We're all gonna get lucky today. Lucky in the games, lucky in the sheets later. Let's go.
Absolutely. We got to say hi to a couple people. Sean Sullivan, shout out to him being the early cruiser. 1:39 p.m. He comes in here, drops a comment. We got Philly Phantom, we got Michael in here, Jason Turner, Boston Sports, Gator Nation, Jordan Newens. My shout out to the Brewers there, Newens, fellow Wisconsinite there. We got Seats, we got Greg, we got Warren Shalou, my boy in here. He'll probably be in the Discord tilting his face off in about 5 seconds. He's probably already in the PJ channel over there, tilting his face off about his Shalhoub curse after he just won 50 stacks the other night in the NBA streets to get some of his cheddar back. Greg, everyone tuning in. Appreciate all you guys. It's good to see a couple familiar faces in here and some new faces as well. Again, I'll be on these live streams 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Gyiraszin will be on with me a bunch of the time as well. But we have you covered all season long, Monday through Friday, with live stream shows and obviously all the content to follow. Real quick, I'll just hit on the marketing here off the top. Go ahead and pull it up. If you're not a member yet and you're looking for a place to be, we're really excited about this. We didn't have a single sport package available last year. We know obviously summertime is typically a slower time of the year, right? You got pretty much just PGA and MLB going on. Both of our teams over here crushed both of the sports. A little biased, but I think the results speak for themselves. Yesterday alone, we made over $150,000 alone just with a couple of the wins that I saw, including the Discord there. So the nice thing about this single sport here, you can go to the website, go to right here. If you go to shippingnation.com, you hit join the nation. It'll pull you to this screen right here. It'll start on the trial pack. If you didn't do the trial yet, this is your best bet. 5 days, $19. You get SaberSim with the ability to build up to 150 lineups and do late swap, plus all of our other tools for all of the other sports that we're going to walk through. But really, the best bet is if you want to just get in for MLB, all you guys here are for MLB. You're interested about MLB plus the optimizer, which gives you SaberSim, our partner, and the ability to build up to 150 lineups plus late swap. Why is this important? Why is this such a good deal? You can get it for $49 a month. SaberSim alone is more than that, and they do not offer single sport packages. So you're going to get our projections. You're going to get SaberSim's projections. You're going to get the ability to build up to 150 lineups plus late swap. If you just want content only, $29. But if you go to the annual, it does come up to $17 a month. So no better time than now. Obviously, we got Masters coming up here soon as well. So if you want all sports, you can just hit all access. You can look at the plan breakdown here, and everything is listed for you. $139 is the best value for all sports. One price. If you want, head over there, check us out. But Gyiraszin, let's jump into the slate here. 7-game slate. We got the Dodgers on the slate. Obviously, the Dodgers are. We're going to talk about a ton about the Dodgers. Screw them and what they're doing. I mean, they just buy everyone and their brother out there. It's pretty annoying at this point, but it is what it is. And especially at this point of the year when DraftKings hasn't kind of adjusted the pricing. I mean, the Dodgers are just too cheap. The pitchers are too cheap for their given matchups like Sandy Alcantara, who we're going to talk about at 7,500. Really makes it easy to afford the Dodgers. And not only that, it's the best hitting environment on the slate tonight too. So all things point to the Dodgers, but we all know that. Everybody knows that. How are we going to kind of navigate that? We'll do our best to kind of talk through that. Let's go pitchers like we always do. We're going to go 8K and above. So we got some good names. Let me go ahead and get rid of the removed players down here real quick and just do. Okay, let's just do this. So I got all the pitchers in here, as you can see, that are on the screen. 8K, you got Gavin Williams all the way up to the top dog, the lone ace, if you will, Chris Sale. However, in all the pitching metrics, Cole Reagans kind of dunked on Chris Sale last year. In all of the underlying metrics, he dealt with some injuries and things like that. Chris Sale, at his current age, seems to be showing no sign of slowing down. He had an incredible season last year. Gets a pretty solid matchup here at home again for the home open there in Atlanta. So talk about these top two, Chris Sale and Reagans, all the way down to Gavin Williams. Really hit on Chris Sale at the top, who's going to be pretty chalky. And then it looks like Kirby and Gausman are going to be the two other guys that are going to get ownership. The pivots up in this range are going to be Reagans, Valdez, and Gavin Williams from what the looks of ownership look to be. What do you see here from pitching?
I mean, first off, when you look at pitching, I mean, predominantly I've been playing, I play on FanDuel, but just the pricing of the two slate, the both slates is on both sites is so different. It seems like there's a little bit more, especially with Alcantara. He's pretty much priced a little higher over there, so he isn't such a value as he is over on DK. But I mean, you start up at this top. I mean, Chris Sale, dude, he's Chris Sale. The guy's what, mid-30s, 36, maybe 37 years old. He's still bringing it. I mean, he just doesn't have a really good matchup against Kansas City that I like. But I don't know. I think there's a point in time where certain pitchers become matchup proof. And are we there yet with Chris Sale? Are we there yet in the past? I can't really say. I mean, you look at the lineup here that Casey's going to be rolling out. You got Miguel Garcia that doesn't really strike out all that much, and everybody else is a couple percentage points below the 22% line. So, I mean, you're sitting here looking, everybody's about 20%, 21%. So it's not like they're just – I'm not going to be overly enamored with the fact that the Royals seem like they haven't struck out in the past, especially when I got a guy like Chris Sale over there on the mound who can wrap up a pretty big score pretty quickly for us. So, I think Sale's in play. I mean, like he's 9,700. He should be 10,700 in my opinion. And right down there with Reagans. Reagans was hurt most of, that 25 there. So, I mean, this kid's also another guy that could throw a 30% strikeout. I mean, in a season, he could be up in the mid, close to 30%, 29, 28%. This guy definitely can bring it. Atlanta's definitely got some opportunities for us to get some strikeouts. Which in that game, too, I'll tell you, there's nothing better than having two studs just flat out going back and forth on the mound, because generally one is going to push the other. They know it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think you're going to see a game here in the first five. I wouldn't doubt if you only see one or two runs. But, I mean, you just look over here at the Braves, as I was mentioning, the K percentage Acuna is at 28.5% against lefties. Olsen, 28.5%. Heim's pretty high. White's 25%. So, I mean, you got two of their bigger bats in Acuna and Olsen who are almost at 29% strikeout rate. So, I think Reagans is in a pretty good spot. I like the price difference I get. I save 700 on Reagans. I'd almost throw them two as about the same pitcher to me. I think, obviously both being lefties, maybe that's why my brain's saying that. But I'd put them in the same type of range. I think they both have the same type ceiling. I think they both have about the same type floor. But then as you move down a little bit, like a guy like Framber's a guy to me that will do it maybe 2 out of 10 times, get us there and help us, kill a slate. Framber's more of a ground ball type pitcher. And we look at San Diego. San Diego isn't a team in the past that really strikes out all that much. So I'm a little concerned about Framber. But it is a decent pivot off those two guys up top, because Framber can get it rolling. And we've seen in the past over there with the Astros. Maybe he comes out today in his Tiger debut and does fairly well. Kirby, I'm having a hard time with. I just don't think I can get up to Kirby. The Indians are a team we just haven't liked to really mess with over the time. We know that they haven't struck out very much in the past. Just a team that we generally don't like to chase after. I mean, you look at some of their K percentages. Steven Kwan, we know, doesn't strike out. He's at 8.5%. Jose Ramirez, 12%. So, I mean, you do have a few guys in the middle of the lineup strike out. Naylor, Hoskins. We'll have to see who if that lineup is out yet. But still, I think, Kirby for me is just, I'm just not there today. I think there's other guys we could look at. Now, I think Gossman's a guy that is, to me, is kind of like the wild card here for me. Like, I by no means would I say he's safe, but on the other hand, I think he's more of a risk type reward kind of guy. I think he can definitely get the job done. He's got more of a almost 26% strikeout lean to the right side. So, we got guys like Langoliers. He's actually below average. We got Max Muncy over there, 30%. If Denzel Clark plays, he's pretty high strikeout percentage. But I mean, Gossman's a guy that can definitely get the job done. He's got, minus 177. He's a big favorite over there at home. So I don't mind Gossman, but especially more so over there on DK than I would on FanDuel. He's a little bit higher priced over on FanDuel with some of the higher priced arms. So I think that is kind of a guy that brings in a wild card. Now, Williams, I'm not really interested in going up against Seattle either over there, out there against that lineup. So I'll leave Williams alone. But, man, really up at the top for me, it's Sale and Reagans. And I think you could throw Gossman in there as well. And if you really wanted to kind of pivot, I think the pivot is, for me, is Framber off of those guys. Framber is going to probably come in less than 10%. He'll probably be 6-7% owned. And, as I said, there's days he could definitely keep up with those two boys up at the top. But, man, I think you're going to have one hell of a pitching duel over there in Kansas City and Atlanta. That one, if you like pitching, I think that's a game you should tune into on your MLB app tonight.
Yeah, no, I like a lot of what you said there. We differ a little bit at the bottom. I'll start with Ragans. Ragans is my favorite pitcher on the board. If you look back at his 2024 numbers, his K rate was up at 38%. Now, I don't think he's going to be a 38, 35% K rate kind of guy. We saw that with Strider when he kind of came on scene. I don't think Ragans is going to be that, but I do think he's going to be right around 30% K rate guy. He was injured most of the year last year. I just like the matchup better for Ragans than Chris Sale. You get $700 discount and you get ownership discount. I mean, look at the back half of this lineup for the Braves. I mean, Eli White strikes out a ton. Matt Olson still strikes out a ton. Even Acuna struck out a ton last year against left-handed pitching. Yeah, he has power concerns. Austin Riley, Eli White, Jonah Heim, Michael Harris. I mean, they got three guys in their lineup that didn't strike out a lot last year against left-handed pitching at home, and that was Drake Baldwin, Albies, and newly acquired Mauricio Dubon. So I think Ragans is great. I like him a ton. He's my favorite SP up at the top. If choosing between him and Sale, I think Sale is fine. I'm just a little worried. These Royals get pesky. They don't have a ton of power, but they also just put the ball in play a ton. They don't strike out. As a team last year against left-handed pitching on the road, they had a 18% K rate against lefties. Now, obviously, Chris Sale has showed multiple times last year that matchups didn't really matter. It didn't really matter if he's on, he's on. I think he's fine, but at the ownership discount and who I like better, I just give me Cole Ragans. I have no issue or thought of his leash. I mean, in his last spring training start, he threw 86 pitches. So he should be stretched out. There should be no concern. You're really not going to see much of 100 pitches. I was shocked yesterday when Miz came back out and went to that mid-90s range. You're going to be looking at 80 to 90 pitches for a majority of these guys, at least the first 2 or 3 starts or so to start the season here. So from a leash standpoint, I have no issues with Cole Ragans. He's my favorite SP1 on this whole slate. I don't love Framber, but for $200 more at similar ownership, I can just get to Cole Ragans. So don't really like that. George Kirby, I think is great. Is a solid play. Yeah, the Indians or Guardians, whatever you want to call them. We call them the Indians here on the show. I'm sorry to all the trolls in the chat that don't like that. There's plenty of other shows out there that you can watch if that's the case. But Framber, he can always have the strikeouts. It's just he's a ground ball guy. Typically can ease his way into kind of a quality. I prefer him more so like on a site like FanDuel where the quality start means so much. So I don't love him a ton, but George Kirby pitching in that ballpark and looking at the weather. I mean, it's like 50 degrees with wind blowing in out there in an already pitcher's park. I mean, yeah, it's starting at like mid 50s and going to drop into the 40s, the duration of that game. I mean, if I'm the Guardians, if I'm the Mariners, do you really want to go out there and play spring baseball at 50 degrees, or do you want to just hurry up, get through the game and move on to the next one, right? You got a long season ahead of you. So for me, Kirby, just with the weather alone, makes him a solid play. Plus, he's been solid at home. It's a good pitcher's ballpark. Kevin Gausman, I think you can play both sides of it. I think he's fine. He showed last year. He was a big pivotal piece to why Toronto made the World Series run they did. He goes long into games. He's probably got the best leash of anyone on this slate outside of maybe a Sandy Alcantara. However, he is going to give up occasional power. So I think in tournaments, definitely play both sides of that one. Gausman would not be shocked to go out there and see him strike out 7 to 10 of these hitters, but give up a home run or 2 to a guy like Nick Kurtz or something like that. So I think Gausman is fine. The guy I'm actually interested in is Gavin Williams. I think Gavin Williams is going to take a big step up this year. I'm a believer in his talent. He's got electric strikeout stuff, but he gets wild at times. However, I mean, yeah, Seattle, we're going to play them a ton. They got a really good lineup. They do have strikeouts in there, and it's just the weather. I mean, it's the best pitchers, one of the best pitchers ballparks. It's 50 degrees, wind blowing in. Same thing for George Kirby. I think Gavin Williams, and not only that, he's a pivot. He's sandwiched between Gausman, Sheehan, Michael King, and Sandy Alcantara, who are all going to be higher owned. There's a lot of volatility with him, but at 8K, he has the strikeout ability and the strikeout upside to match a guy up at the top like a Ragans, like a Chris Sale, if he's on with his strikeout ability. my friends over at Ballpark Pal, looking at their stuff. He's the fourth favorite on the slate to record 6+ Ks. So I think Gavin Williams is pretty interesting in tournaments. I don't think many people get there. And from a projection standpoint, I mean, he's right in line with the rest of these guys. So I think he's really interesting at 8K and probably one of my sleeper picks in tournaments there. Below 8K, we got to talk about, obviously, Sandy Alcantara, going to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate. Yeah, think of him as the Mizrowski of yesterday. Now, I'm not saying Sandy's going to go out there and throw a one-run, 11 strikeout outing like Miz did, but he's facing the Rockies. We're going to talk about this all year long. It's roulette, spin the dice, roll the dice. Don't worry about who the name is for the most part facing this Rockies team. They're going to be the worst team in baseball. They were last year. I know Underdog tweeted yesterday, hey, it's opening day. The Rockies already eliminated from playoff contention. That was pretty funny. But Alcantara, he looked really good last year. His numbers are not as bad as what they seem because the first half of last year, he was horrendous. The second half of last year, he was borderline elite. So I think he's fantastic. Obviously, don't need me to tell you that. He's 7,500. He's way too cheap at home in a pitcher's ballpark there in Miami against the worst team in baseball. Not much more to say. However, when you do play him and you pair him with like a Chris Sale and you go on and play the Dodgers and then you fill in your value bats with the Miami Marlins, well, now you just played the same team as everybody else. So I would be cognizant and worrisome of when you're using Sandy, how maybe you pivot to like a Toronto offense, or maybe you pivot to like a Tigers offense or something like that, like one of these other offense that could get you there differently. So Sandy, great play. But talk about these other guys here down Gyiraszin. Sheehan, I know people are expecting big things from him to take a big step up for the Dodgers. He's worrisome to me against that matchup against the Diamondbacks there with all the lefty power they have. He struggles with lefties, struggles with fly balls, struggles with some power stuff. Michael King fits the bill that I talked about earlier with Gavin Williams. Michael King, really good ballpark to pitch in. He has elite strikeout stuff when he's on, but when he's off, he's going to walk 4 or 5 guys, get into trouble, get pulled quick, and San Diego will go right to that bullpen, which they like a ton. So hit on him. And then the cheap guy down that people want to go to is Mike Burrows, coming over to Houston here from Pittsburgh. Looked pretty solid last year, had pretty good numbers in Pittsburgh. Now gets a better supporting cast around him and behind him in the field. What do you see down here as value pitchers on the slate?
Yeah, Sandy definitely. Alcantara is Alcantara. I like saying his last name. I mean, anybody, as you mentioned, going to be playing the Rockies are going to be something that we're going to target. But, I mean, Sandy's a ground ball guy. I mean, he's probably not going to get in too much trouble. But, I mean, just because I really don't like him. I mean, I'm almost kind of in the mindset. I'm fading him. I'm just going to let everybody else play him today. Honestly, I think there's a couple other spots we can play. I actually kind of think the Rockies might be a spot that I might want to maybe look at a little bit for a long, for my kind of low owned team today. I'm going to play 3 teams. I think I'm trying to decide, as I told you when the show started, I think like somebody like the Angels, the Marlins, the Rockies, or somebody like that nobody's thinking of today, I think could just put up the game we need to win. And I think, especially with the Dodgers being as chalky as they are, I think that's how we maybe get different a little bit. No Sandy, I think is kind of what I want to do. Now, if you want to look at Michael King, I don't mind that at all, even going against my Tigers, because the Tigers do have some strikeouts in that lineup. I mean, Riley Green, he strikes out quite a bit. He's usually good for 2 a game. Torkelson strikes out quite a bit. Parker Meadows strikes out quite a bit. Baez strikes out quite a bit. Colt Keiths look like shit. Carpenter strikes out. I mean, the only guy that really don't strike out is Glaber. So, I mean, you're right. If King is on, he could rack up 7 or 8 Ks pretty quickly in 5 innings. So I think King is definitely a guy that you want to look at. And then you mentioned Burrows. I think Burrows is interesting because, one, the Angels, we know, are a team for a righty last year that we would target the Angels all the time with a righty we thought had decent strikeout capability. I mean, you're looking at his projected Ks. I mean, he's looking at about 6.5 Ks in this game. I mean, you look at these guys over here, Neto 26, Trout 32, Soler 30. I mean, Adele 27, Ohape 33. I mean, man, they're not barely over, Nades. These dudes are like several points over the 22% line. So to me, it's like, man, if this guy can get the job done here as cheap as he is, I mean, I'd rather throw that dart there on actually both sites than actually Sandy Alcantara and let everybody else play him. I think I'd just rather be a little bit different. I mean, we got 7 games and we got to have a heavy, chalky Dodgers. So we're going to have to make a stance somewhere. And I think on today, the pitching side for me is more better for me to make a stance and kind of fade maybe some of these top guys, the Sales and the Reagans tonight, because I don't feel there's as many big point landmines today in the pitching realm as we even saw yesterday with all those SP1s. Like there was just too many for me. I knew a couple of them were going to actually bomb, which they did, Crochet, Brown. But, can Sale have a big game? Sure. You're looking at a double, maybe you want to pay down on a little bit. Man, I'll tell you, the more I think about it, Nades, I think Burrows is the way to go. I think he'd be the guy just because the Angels strike out so much. You got a Houston team at home that actually some people, I think are in a pretty good position today against Kikuchi. So, I think he could get a win. Can he get us a quality start? That's questionable. But man, I think he could get us. I think he'd get us where we need to be, especially at 6,500 at the bottom. I'm not interested in Nelson. There's no need to get that cute. And Kyle Freeland, no thanks. I'm not interested in him either. But so for me, really, you just kind of look from the back. You look back. Everybody's going to play Sale. Everybody's going to probably load up on Reagans. Everybody's going to play Alcantara. So I'm thinking, all right, Burrows is the pivot down below or King. I think you got 2 chances there at an opportunity. I think King has a higher ceiling than Burrows does. Let I think there's some opportunities on the slate for us to get a little bit different. But, man, I think I'm going to leave Sandy alone. I'm going to let everybody else let them stick their feet in that water, and I'm just going to pass. I think, to me, as our guy used to say, that's some donkey chalk, man. I think I'm out, Nades. Honestly, I just don't have a good feeling about it. Kind of feel like he's Matt Boyd from yesterday. Like, after I thought about it, I'm like, fuck, what was I even thinking? The dude never strikes out hardly anybody. We were playing because we were enamored with the matchup and the wind. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm not buying into that shit no more. Dude still can't strike you out, which we need. So I think that's what I'm kind of worried about here with Alcantara. And I think we got some better options below that could definitely outK him. I think those 2 guys down there can outK Alcantara in this slate tonight.
Yeah. So what I'll tell you is Chris Sale and Sandy Alcantara, Cole Reagans, and Gavin Williams or Michael King for the same price, and you save some money and you get extra cheese in your pocket to go spend up bats. The ownership. You're talking like single entry, 3 max, like the 121 single entry, $25 single entry. Chris Sale and Sandy are probably going to be pushing 50-60%. Sandy for sure. So that pairing right there, jumping down to Cole Reagans, who's going to be half the ownership of Chris Sale, and going to like a Gavin Williams, who I like a ton, or a Michael King right there as pivots off of Sandy, or down to a Mike Burrows. Right there, you're instantly different. Now you can play all the Dodgers bats you want. I obviously want to play the Dodgers. That's the spot where I'm not looking away from. They're far and away the best offense on the slate. We have a shortened slate. It's good hitting weather there. They got a bad bullpen that they're going up against for Arizona. Nelson isn't anything horrible by any means, but it's just the Dodgers offense. It's David versus Goliath there. So for me, already knowing going into the slate, I'm going to be on the Dodgers bats. There's just no way around it. I'm looking for pivots on the pitchers aspect. So I think Cole Reagans, I think Gavin Williams, I think Michael King and Mike Burrows are those kind of four separators from the pitching standpoint that can get you different and match the output of these other guys. None of these guys are bulletproof by any means. We saw what happened to Paul Skeens yesterday. Nobody saw that coming. And if it can happen to Mr. USA, right, Livy Dunn, I know he's got some things behind the scenes that maybe he's less focused, right? If we were all there dealing with the Livy Dunn behind the scenes, maybe we'd be less focused too on pitching. But I say that all to say I like some of these contrarian options. Reagans being my favorite. I'm different than you with Gavin Williams. I like him a lot. Michael King, Mike Burrows are kind of the 4 sleepers, and then Chris Sale and Sandy would be the main guys I'm looking to kind of round it out for me. Go ahead and rank your top 5.
Yeah, and then real quick, just to add on to that, like Nades and I aren't saying like we sometimes when we're talking the way we do, and we're trying to throw. It's not saying we don't even like the player, or agree with like how that it could be chalky. We're just trying to explain sometimes in certain situations on how we like to attack it, like where we feel like there are viable options to play against what everybody else is trying to play. That's how you win in baseball DFS. Like, you're going to lose 20 days, at times. And then what you want to do is win the one and the big one, right? And it covers everything. Like that's how I play baseball. I'm not trying to min cash all the damn time. I want to win, Nate. So, like fading some of these chalkier pitchers, and you can't play. Like if you start with Alcantara and have 4 or 5 Dodgers, you're pretty much in the same boat as like 70% of the damn people. Like, so to me, I just kind of like mixing it up a little bit. And you don't always have to get too crazy, too cute. But as far as the 5 pitchers go, for me, I think, just kind of looking at it, it's odd. It's just different for the both sites because the way they're priced. If you go over there and look, like Gausman's the second highest priced pitcher. Valdez is higher priced than Reagan's. And Alcantara is like a couple, 200 less over there. So for me, I'm looking at Chris Sale. For me, no money aside, salary aside, Chris Sale would be my favorite play just because he's Chris Sale. And then I would basically after that go Reagan's. And then I think I'm going to go to, just the way it is. I think I'm going to go to, I don't know if I want to put Burrows ahead of Gausman, but I think I'm going to. I think Burrows is the guy today against that. Let's attack those Angels. So, everybody, let's get on it before everybody remembers how, that's going to be a thing all year, that we're going to be going after high strikeout righties all year after these Angels. So, I'm going to go right off the bat. I think it's a good play. If I'm on DK, I'm probably pairing up one of the Reagans or Sales with Burrow, and I'm probably going to be looking at stacking up some of them Dodgers.
Yeah, no, I like to see that. Sheehan is a solid pivot off of Sandy, but you can't play everyone. I think Michael King's got more upside. I think Gavin Williams got a ton of upside. Now they obviously have downside too. And I like Burrow's cheaper there. So I can't play everyone from a pitching standpoint. Sheehan at 7,800. I don't love it there. I just don't like Dave Roberts and what he does with his pitching staff, especially early in the year out there in LA either with his pitchers there. So that you got that going for him as well. Let's jump over and talk hitting here. First game on the slate. We got the A's. We got the Blue Jays. This game's in a dome up in Toronto. Gausman on the hill, Severino. That dude was throwing batting practice in the World Baseball Classic. Not sure what that's going to look like here. Blue Jays, reigning World Series runners-up to obviously the Dodgers there. Incredible World Series last year. Blue Jays got a beefed-up roster here too. They got some solid guys there. Bo Bichette obviously leaving paves the way for a guy like Addison Barger to find the lineup hopefully 24/7 instead of being kind of platooned left and right. I think the Blue Jays are my favorite pivot off of the Dodgers, but they're also going to get ownership here. Really where I like in tournaments here is, say in your Dodger stacks, you want to get contrarian, go to your Dodger stacks, take out Freddie Freeman for $4,700 and put in Nick Kurtz for $5,400. I know you need some more salary. How many Dodger stacks are going to be played without Freeman or Ohtani? Not many, right? So that's one way to be different there in your Dodger stacks. I think Nick Kurtz is one of the best one-off options on the slate. Tyler Soderstrom hits that. Shea Langeliers is a pivot off a guy like Will Smith. Brent Rooker. Jacob Wilson had a hell of a season last year. I think you can power hunt here against Gausman. I don't love full stacking just because he's so good at navigating a lineup. Really doesn't get blown up too often, but when he does, it's usually by the long ball. So picking off power against him, I don't mind. What do you see here from Toronto and the Athletics?
Yeah, Severino, you got it right. Throw a batting practice. He's 7% swing and miss rate last year after both sides. That's just awful. But excuse me, I do like Toronto. I'll tell you, sitting at third base for Toronto, pretty cheap is Okamoto. I don't know if I'm saying it right, Okamoto, but he was, from what I'm understanding, was a pretty big power bat over there in the Japanese league. So, they got him hitting 7th over here today. He's only 2,700 on FanDuel. So, I think that's an option there if you wanted to maybe stretch out your Toronto lineup a little bit and get down there into the bottom part. I think he's definitely a good option for you over there today. But I like this Toronto team. I think, as you mentioned, right behind the Dodgers, who else are we going to look for that maybe can compete with the Dodgers today? And I think the Toronto is definitely in that realm. We know Oakland's bullpen wasn't all that great last year. We kind of talked about it for a long period of time. They were in the bottom. I think at the end of the season, they did pick it up a little bit, but that bullpen isn't all that great. But they got World Baseball Classic Team USA member Ernie Clement hitting down there in the 8-hole, Nate. So, I mean, it's not like their lineup is that awful. But, I mean, Luke's, you got up there a cheap outfielder up in for Toronto, 2,500 on FanDuel. I know he's fairly cheap over there at DK2. So he's a cheap option. But, I mean, it's kind of hard not to want to build around guys like Springer, Guerrero. I don't mind Varsho, Barger either in that 4 spot. But Severino, I mean, he's just not good. He's not going to miss any bats, not going to strike anybody out, really. I mean, he's not really going to walk too many guys, but he's just going to be pitching to contact. I think the Blue Jays can get the job done. And, I mean, I like him. I like what you said, too, about Nick Kurtz. Like, if you want to be a little bit different in your stacks today, and maybe you got a Freddie Freeman and you got a few extra bucks left and you want to throw in Kurtz, I don't think that that's a bad idea at all. I like doing that a lot of times, swapping out, you know, a power hitter for somebody else. Cause you know, at that point, then if that stack does go off, now you got a 1-versus-1 versus that player for the potentially for you to, you know, jump up in some of the bigger money. So yeah, I definitely like that move there, but yeah, I think Toronto's in a really good spot. They'd be right up there in the top of the barrel with the Dodgers tonight.
Yeah, Toronto's number 2 for me behind the Dodgers. Obviously, everyone's going to be on the Dodgers. But yeah, I like 1 through 9 for the Blue Jays. I'm not scared of anyone. I mean, you got Jimenez, who can steal. He can hit for some power at times. He doesn't strike out. This entire Blue Jays team doesn't strike out against a pitcher who's going to pitch to contact for the most part. I know Severino's splits are much different last year outside of Sacramento. Obviously, when you're playing in a minor league stadium that is super windated, and it's usually pretty windy out there in Sacramento and warm the entire duration of the season, especially in the beginning half of the year. Right. Well, that's obviously going to be no surprise, right? It's kind of like Coors Field and the pitcher splits outside and inside Coors Field. I'm still not looking too far into that. Severino, we know what he is at this point. Blue Jays have one of the best contact hitting teams in all of baseball. They were a matchup nightmare for much better pitchers last year than Luis Severino. So if Severino dunks on me, he dunks on me. I'll tighten up the bootstraps and come back tomorrow on another baseball slate. That's the nature of it there. But yeah, I like the one-offs or two-man power stacks from the A's because Gausman is going to get some ownership. Again, this is probably the spot where in 20 max, 10 plus teams, I think you want both sides. I won't be shocked if Gausman goes out there, throws up a quality start, like I said, 6, 7, 8 Ks, something like that, or the A's get to him, score 5, 6 runs off him and hit some home runs, right? It could go both ways there. So Nick Kurtz definitely being my favorite guy from the A's side of things. Let's go to the Rockies here, bottom of the barrel. Rockies don't really only, I mean, they got Willie Castro there. He's fine. They got TJ Rumfield coming in. I'm betting 5th at 2,500, low lefty righty. I will say it's leverage city with the Rockies. I hate the ballpark. The Marlins bullpen is not good behind Sandy. Sandy's going to be 50% owned in single entry stuff for a good reason. It's the Rockies. They strike out a ton, but I mean, Sandy's no world beater by any means. I mean, the dude's got a below average strikeout rate in general. So I think you could pick off some power guys against the Rockies here. The Marlins, though, are going to be the de facto pairing with the Dodgers bats. When I ran dry run projections, I was getting 60% of both Dodger stacks and Marlins stacks with obviously Chris Sale and the guys at the top, because look at these price points. You have one guy over 4K. The rest are all 3,700 or below, 3,900 or below. They're just super cheap. They face Kyle Freeland outside of Coors Field and that that horrible Rockies bullpen. What do you see here? Marlins and the Rockies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of really the Marlins in this spot, even though I think I'd rather play the Rockies, as I kind of mentioned at the beginning. Freeland just doesn't generally beat himself. He's not a guy that generally just gets pummeled, it seems like. I mean, he keeps the ball down. He's a ground ball kind of leaning, especially more to the left side. I mean, they just don't have really the bats here. But, these are the kind of games that, that generally are the pesky thorn in the side when there's something like, we kind of have a slate built like today where we have such a top-heavy offense that's going to be chalky. It seems like you get one of these teams here that, I mean, even if you mini stack them, whatever else, it seems to be relevant. But I think for me, the Rockies against Alcantara, just because the leverage I'm going to get is something I'm going to look at. Like Hunter Goodman, he's got decent stats against righties. I mean, they do have some Ks in that lineup over there, but I mean, Tovar, Beck, Willie Castro, Duel. I mean, they do have some power over there. I think they could get to Sandy, but the only reason that I think that I would want to play some, if I'm playing 10 teams, I probably got a couple Rockies teams, Nades. just because I'm not going to play Sandy on any of my teams anyway. As I already mentioned, I'd like some other guys. So I'm definitely going to have some Rockies, so I get paid off that way if he does have just gets blown up, which I mean, it's opening day. It's baseball too. Anything can happen. We saw Skeens get blown up. So, but when everybody's on something, it's like when everybody's on the Royals for me, I don't want nothing to do with it or something like that. Like where I just feel like it's a reach. They're jamming it. They're trying too hard. It's matchup driven. Like, nah, no thanks. I'll just pass. But for me, I think the Rockies are a sneaky team. You could mini stack today, and may very well get you there against a chalkier pitcher.
Yeah, no, I don't hate it. I'm definitely not going in and 5-man stacking the Rockies. I mean, if that wins, kudos to all the contrarian guys out there in MME that have a portfolio. We saw it happen yesterday with Paul Skeens. Sandy Alcantara is not the same as Paul Skeens. The Mets are a better offense, obviously, than what the Rockies are, but it's baseball. Anything can happen. Talk about it all the time. Power hunting guys like Hunter Goodman, Tovar at a shortstop position, who nobody's going to click. I think if you need a value first baseman, a guy like TJ Rumfield, I don't know much about him, but I'm assuming he's got at least somewhat power, hitting fifth. Julian, right, coming over from the Twins. I don't think you really have to worry too much about pinch hit concerns there for the Rockies because they're going nowhere as a franchise in general. A little bit different than the Twins. So I think he's a solid 2,800 power guy. A little lefty-righty action there. I don't hate that. Marlins, I definitely want to be under on the Marlins. I mean, I just think I think they're going to be super popular. I hate this ballpark. I get it. It's Kyle Freeland. It's just Kyle Freeland knows enough just to kind of navigate, right? He never really gives up a ton, even in Coors Field, right? I talk about his numbers all the time. We'll talk about him this year again. He just really never gets mangled, dismantled, right? He always kind of just skates his way through. He'll give up some runs, and I mean, obviously the bullpen behind him is horrible, but I don't love the ballpark, so I don't like that game much from a hitting perspective. Takes me to another one here I don't like at all, really, from a hitting perspective. I mean, the two best pitchers on the slate, pitchers duel here in Atlanta. I think this is a game going to the under. What do you see here, though? Anything to pick off here?
No, thanks. As I mentioned, I think this is going to be an old-fashioned pitcher's duel. I don't think you're going to get much out of this one. No, thanks.
Awesome. Takes us to the next game here. Astros and the Angels in Houston. Mike Burrow's on the mound. We talked about him a ton. We know what Kikuchi is. He can always be in your MME pool. He's either going to get absolutely destroyed or he's going to strike out 10. There's no in between. Where do you play the Astros is you typically play the Astros against left-handed pitching. Why? Because they're predominantly right-handed hitters outside of Yordan Alvarez, who, surprise, surprise, can hit lefties and has fared pretty well against Kikuchi in his past. I think Houston is a really nice spot here tonight. Angels bullpen's horrible behind him. Houston got guys like Isaac Paredes in there who beefed up the lineup there. I got my guy Cam Smith, who's a power monster, 2,700 back half of that order. Nobody's going to play him. I don't love Altuve, but he kind of fits the build. If you land on second base and you're looking for a spend up, Altuve you can slot him in there. The Angels against Burrow, I like Mike Burrows a ton here for the Astros, but the Angels do have power. I talked about it. Mike Trout hit a bomb last night. While he's healthy, this is probably the healthiest Mike Trout's been in quite some time. So jump on him now. Well, you can still play him before he hits the IL there. Zach Neto, great option at shortstop as well. But really, my interest is more on the Astro side of this game all around. What do you see here?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying here about the Angels. The Angels, to me, are a team that are going to strike out. It's like boom or bust. They're going to strike out a bunch of times, but they could hit a couple homers. That's for sure. I mean, they definitely have the power. But, I think this one here, I do like Burrows, as I said, just because of the way the slate's shaking out as a pivot over there to Alcantara. But on this side, on the other side, as far as Houston goes, I really like Houston against Kikuchi. You got some guys that definitely can get the ball up in the air, fly ball. Alvarez gets it up. Paredes gets it up in the air. Smith, Christian Walker. So, I mean, they got some guys here that can definitely combat that ground ball percentage. He's got about a 38% to the right side, which is definitely lower than his 52 to the left side, that being Kikuchi. But he's below average in strikeout percentage. He's going to basically get hit. He's going to be pitching to contact. And, I mean, they're going to be throwing out an all-righty lineup except Alvarez. So, yeah, I think the Astros, for me, are probably about the same range as the Blue Jays, somebody that could definitely keep up with the Dodgers. But, yeah, I think you can stack them up for sure. I think they're in the top three today.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think they're interesting. I will say Carlos Correa is probably going to be one of the highest owned players on the slate. not including a Dodger just because of his dual position eligibility, third base and shortstop, and that price there hitting in the heart of that lineup. He's a fine option, but I would be worried on how I use him when I'm using him. Don't go in there and drop Mookie Betts down to him to make everything work with your 5-man Dodger stacks that include Ohtani, Tucker, Freeman, right? Those kind of guys, because everybody else is going to do that, right? With Sandy Alcantara and whoever else. So
I'm not a fan of the BVP, but Correa's BVP numbers against Kikuchi is something like 14 for 28 or some shit. Like it's
he's
like that, 16 for 28. It's something where you're like, wow, that's a pretty big sample size for him.
So he's 13 for 27 with 2 doubles, a triple, 2 walks, a 481 batting average with a 1147 OPS. So he definitely does see Kikuchi pretty well. He's a good option for by any means, but again, just be worried on how you use him because he is going to be very, very popular for sure. Probably not a great one-off in my opinion. I'd probably use him more in stacks because if he nukes, there's probably a good chance that hitting in the heart of that lineup that the rest of the team's doing something and they're going to get passed by those stacks instead of a one-off there. Takes us to this game. I don't like this game much at all. Worst weather by far on the slate, 50 degrees, wind blown in already a pitcher's ballpark. Cleveland's got a good bullpen behind Gavin Williams, even with all the shit that happened with them last year. Mariners, same thing, solid bullpen, good squad in general. There's going to be times to play the Seattle offense. There's going to be lots of times. This is a spot where I just don't like it. I mean, they could get there. They're probably like 5 or 6 on my list of teams here tonight, which makes the list, but it's down the board considering we only have 14 teams to choose from, and we got the Rockies and Marlins and stuff like that on the slate. What do you see here, Cleveland and Seattle?
I mean, if Gavin Williams can keep his walks down, he's definitely a weapon. But I mean, you can always play Cal Riley. I mean, that guy. I mean, he's always gonna be in the mix. But I mean, there's too many other options. I'm not really a fan of too much on either side of this one. But yeah, I mean, no reason really to push it in, as you mentioned. Shitty conditions. It's cold. That's the only game that's got shitty. Every other one's inside or it's warm. The Dodgers obviously is warm outside, but so yeah, I mean, no reason to fool with that.
I will say Brendan Donovan's probably a solid play, or a guy like Canzone, 3,100, 3,800. Donovan fits a weak second base position where most people are going to play a guy like Miguel Rojas at 2,500. Or some of those other guys we talked about there. So I think Donovan would probably be my favorite play from that game. Takes us to San Diego here. Another spot where I think pitchers duel can be in action. I wouldn't hate a Tiger stack. I hate the ballpark, but I just know Michael King can strike out 9 guys, 10 guys, 12 guys, or he can walk 5 and get pulled. But then you got a Nails bullpen behind him, right? One of the best bullpens, if not the best last year in the league for the Padres. This is another game I don't love much from an offensive standpoint on either side here. Framber's a ground ball guy. Tigers are a quality team in general. What do you see here?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of any of the Padres, but I mean, hey, I'm going right back to McGonigal again. He's too damn cheap. He unlocks a few things for you. I mean, you don't need him to do much. The dude gets, I mean, his first 2 at-bats yesterday, he had it all taken care of for you, let alone the other 2 hits he got. But, I mean, McGonigal's really cheap. I mean, if you wanted to maybe try to jam in some other Dodgers and not play Mookie and play McGonigal, he's pretty cheap. I don't mind that play as a one-off, but I think that's really as far as I'd kind of stretch it. I think the Tigers, too, you're going to have to watch, guys like Carpenter, Colt Keith. I think they could be pinch hit risk, Parker Meadows. So especially them lefties, I'd kind of watch. But I don't think you're going to see McGonigal get pinch hit for that kid's special. But, yeah, I think he's the only guy that I consider just because he's just so cheap at this point. He's just a good hitter.
Yeah, no, thanks for the chat saying Rojas. I just refreshed, as you saw. Lineup went to confirm. That's another thing. As soon as we get the lineups, the stone tells you either projected, right, meaning it's not confirmed, or confirmed. So this is their confirmed lineup and takes us right to the best spot on the slate. No surprise. Look at this ownership, 127%. I think the next closest team is probably Houston or Toronto in like the 70s or 80s. So you're talking a significant drop off in ownership here. Reed Nelson, not anything special, below average strikeout, gets hit pretty hard. K per 9, as you can see there last year on the road, sitting at about 7.5. Dodgers, by far the best offense in baseball. And now it just made it easier to stack them up with a guy like Alex Freeland, dual position eligibility at 2,100. I take back Carlos Correa. Freeland's going to be the highest owned pitcher or the highest owned player on the slate, probably right there with a guy like Carlos Correa and Shohei Ohtani. So what do you see here? Dodgers and the D-backs. I think it's pretty sneaky to pick some of these D-backs lefties off. Guys like Carroll, Ketel Marte, Perdomo. Perdomo hit a bomb last night, had a hell of a World Baseball Classic. He's straight swagged up right now. I think he's a great option at shortstop at 4,600. $100 more, same game, same environment, same hitting conditions, guaranteed ninth inning at bats, and more of a stolen base threat than a guy like Mookie Betts. So I think Perdomo's an elite pivot, especially in Dodger stacks. Go to the other side, leave Mookie Betts out, throw in Perdomo for the exact same money. I think that's one way to be different. Already talked about the Freddie Freeman or Ohtani, leaving out Dodger stacks with one or both of them. I think is very interesting. It feels gross, but when Ohtani gets walked 3 times and scores 9 points and Kyle Tucker hits a home run, well, there you go. Or a guy like Nick Kurtz hits a home run and outscores Freddie Freeman and Ohtani. You're different right there. So talk to me, Dodgers and the D-backs to round us out.
Yeah, Dodgers definitely going to be chalky. You're going to have to mix it up. You're probably going to have to hit – if they go off, you're going to have to hit it pretty much perfectly to even win. So that's the problem with playing chalkier stacks. You got to pretty much nail it quite spot on. So, you got to make sure you catch most of the runs. But I think I like what you're saying, with these lefties. Well, I mean, Tucker. I mean, you look over at Nelson, he's got an 18% strikeout rate last year. He only had an 8% swing and miss rate against lefties. And you don't want these Dodgers in this great hitting condition, especially the lefties he's going to be seeing, to be squaring up any kind of baseballs. He might get in trouble pretty quick. So, and Arizona's bullpen, I'm not really a fan of all that much. So, I mean, it could definitely get ugly really quick for Arizona. But what you're saying about the Arizona on the other side, I don't mind any of that. I mean, you're mixing in some of these guys in your stacks. I mean, other than the late hammers, which is always a lot of fun. We got some great hitting conditions. That game we could obviously see if the Dodgers get up front or they get up by 4 or 5 runs. You could just see a middle of the road reliever come in where it's not going to be all that tight. You could end up giving up some runs that way. But I think obviously we don't need. We all get it. You all can figure out the Dodgers are the best play. It's going to be that way pretty much all damn season. But just know pretty much when you play them, you're going to have to pretty much hit them spot on. And, that's a chance you're going to take. But if you do, and you mix up some scenarios as we kind of discussed a little bit earlier today, then you're good. But, I mean, this is a more spread out slate, Nades. Like we could talk about, maybe not worrying like golf where you're not really worried too much about some of the chalk. And baseball isn't as bad as some of the other sports. I don't feel as if when you get chalky, except when you get them really chalky pitchers or really chalky offenses, which we'll see from time to time. And I think we have that now. So that's a lot of what we like to talk about, kind of with the overview, kind of when we see it, how are we going to attack it? Where's some maybe vulnerable, where's they're vulnerable? How can we do this? That's what I like to kind of try to break it down and discuss. And usually when we get off here, we got a good idea how we're going to attack it and go from there. And I mean, we stay true to what we normally talk about, what we do, what kind of positions we're attacking, why we're attacking it. Certain pitchers may have certain weaknesses, but man, I mean, it's a lot of fun. Glad to be back in the saddle. We had a big winner last night. We're going to pull a winner here tonight. Big winner. I know we're going to see that in Discord. So, but hey, if you tag all 3 of us around the show, make sure you hit me and not the other dude. I was laughing at that one. Like, guys, like that dude don't even work at Shipping. What the hell is he talking about? So, but funny time, good times.
Yeah, no, good to be back. I think we broke it down pretty good. Hey, it's not a Friday show unless we hit our favorite low-owned stack pitcher and then a home run call or two for the people. We had good success with that last year. Some people made some cheese, including myself, on those home run parlays. It's not betting advice by any means, but hey, DFS works the same, right? That you get those 14 points in the lineup. It's pretty nice to see there. So throw it over to you, Gyiraszin, to kick us off. Your favorite low-owned pitcher, your favorite low-owned stack, and then a home run call.
Well, we know I like Burrows over there against the Angels. I think he's the guy I'll be looking at. In my home run off the wall, I'm going with the Japanese third baseman over there for the Dodgers to hit us a home run here tonight. So I'm going to go.
Dodgers or the
Okamoto. I'm sorry, the Blue Jays.
Blue Jays.
Shohei, if this goes that way. Okamoto, I think 2,700 is hitting in the 7 hole. I think that would be a guy that I mean, like if you're not playing any Toronto guys, I don't mind him throwing in that Dodger stack. You don't have to play Muncy that way, but yeah, I think he'd be my play and my favorite low-owned stack. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going Rockies.
All right, Rockies it is. So my favorite low-owned pitcher going to be Gavin Williams. I like the upside for him here in the park in the matchup. I think he's a solid option there. For my low-owned stack of the slate here, I don't know that they're going to be that low-owned in general. They are going to be. I think the D-backs, right? Particularly more as a mini stack, but I like the lefties there. Alec Thomas, I think, is solid. And then wrap it around to the top. Marte, Carroll, Perdomo, pick three or use all four. Throw in one of the other guys in there if you need some value. A guy like Tim Tawa is fine. So I think the D-backs are pretty interesting there. Full 9 at bats out there in Dodger Stadium. And my home run call, I'm doubling down with you. I'm going to a guy that hits right before him. Dalton Varsho, a little lefty action there. And I'll throw in a bonus one. One of the lower-owned Dodgers, Andy Pages, hit a bomb last night. I think he stays hot. Reed Nelson is a little bit reverse splitsy there. Some righty power. Get to him pretty good. So I like Andy Pages, Dalton Varsho to both hit a home run. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Again, if you're not a member yet, shipitnation.com, single sport package, MLB only, plus an optimizer with the ability to build up to 150 teams, $49 a month. That's not offered anywhere else. You can't get SaberSim outside of buying all the sports for over $100. If you're just a baseball guy, appreciate you guys watching us, listening here. But if you want to level up your game, get the best optimizer in the business, shipitnation.com/join the nation right there on the home screen. All the packages will break it down for you. For Gyiraszin, I'm Nades. Good luck tonight in those contests. Hope to see those Ship Nation logos at the top. We're out of here. Peace.